Here at the Beehive, all the bees are bee behaving. That's because that's what God wants us to do. We learn our verses from our Bibles, and we like to show them to you. It all starts with Queenie. She knows the verse. She'll tell her stories and what we learned. Peyton is the patient, Willow is wise, Jenny is generous all the time. Dylan happy is so diligent, Louie is so loving, Hudson he is humble as he fights his pride. Grace is always graciously gracious, and then the gentle Jimmy, that's the bees at our hive. Here at the Beehive, all the bees are bee behaving. That's because that's what God wants us to do. We learn our verses from our Bibles, and we like to show them to you.
Good morning, children. Welcome to the Beehive for Memory Monday. Today's story is Be Generous, Jenny. And our memory verse is Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper, but whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Can you kids say that verse with me? Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Beautiful! Great job, kids. Let's check in and see how our story starts. Once upon a time, in the bustling beehive, there lived a little bee named Jenny. It was the busiest honey-making season of the year, and all her friends were diligently working to collect nectar and turn it into golden honey. Dylan, Louie, Jimmy, and Hudson were busy flitting about over the daisies. Jenny heard Dylan chanting his favorite saying, "Busy, busy, buzz, buzz, buzz. Busy, busy, work is fun." Willow, Peyton, and Grace were making excellent progress near the sunflowers. They were laughing as Peyton did a silly ballerina dance from flower to flower. Nearby, Benny, the beautiful butterfly, was scavenging to get ready for the winter. He smiled at his bee friends and appreciated their work. He would buy some honey from them soon. As he prepared to move on, Benny spotted a vine that had fallen to the ground, and he thought to himself, "This could be useful." He glided gracefully to the ground and picked it up. He realized there were several there. "I think I will take just one and leave the other vines in case other friendly creatures could use it," he said to himself. He tucked a strong green vine under his wing and continued on his journey. Jenny, however, had stumbled upon a secret flower brimming with tons of pollen. It was low to the ground, and she realized none of her friends would be able to see her from where they were. Excitement bubbled within her as a mischievous idea fluttered in her mind. She decided to keep the flower's location to herself, thinking it would be her own special treasure. "If I keep this flower to myself, I can work circles around the other bees, and the queen will surely be impressed," she said to herself. Unbeknownst to Jenny, this decision would lead her into a sticky situation. But more on that later. Now is a great time to review the memory verse. Today's memory verse is Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Can you kids say that verse with me? Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Beautiful! Great job, kids! Now, let's get back to our story. The late afternoon sun was lowering and getting ready to settle in for the evening when the other bees stopped for their supper. "Bruh, where's Jenny?" Hudson asked. "I haven't seen her since lunch." She'll be along, Peyton said. I'm sure she just wants to get as much done as she possibly can before the sun goes down. I hope you're right, Hudson worried. What if she wandered into the trash truck and was hauled away to the city dump with all the other rubbish? And then, what if she dies? I don't want her to die. Willow, always the wise bee, answered Hudson gently. I don't think that has happened. How about we finish our supper, and if she hasn't returned, we go out and search for her? Hudson nodded in agreement. Okay, I think I can wait that long. I hope Willow is right, but more on that later. Now is a great time to review the memory verse. Today's memory verse is Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Can you kids say that with me? Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Great job, kids. That was beautiful. Now, let's get back to our story. As she joyfully gathered pollen from the flower, Jenny giggled to herself with glee. She couldn't wait to boast of all the honey that was made because of her find. For hours she worked, completely losing track of time, thinking of how proud she would be for all her hard work. Jenny smiled to herself. The queen will be so proud, she repeated. Jenny lost her balance and tumbled into the pile of soft, fluffy pollen. The more she struggled, the more stuck she became. Panic set in as she realized that her friends didn't know where she was. Help! Jenny cried with the loudest voice she could muster. Help! I'm over here! She didn't see any of her friends. How could she let herself get into this mess? Can anyone hear me? She shouted. As tears spilled down her cheek, she cried silently. Please, please, somebody find me. Do you think someone will find her soon? More on that in just a minute. But you know what time it is now. A great time to review our memory verse. Today's memory verse is Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Can you kids say that with me? Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Beautifully done! Great job, kids. How about we get back to our story? Jenny's bee friends finished their dinner and realized Jenny had not yet arrived. Peyton put her plate in the sink and said, I know I'm usually patient, but I think we better go look for Jenny. It will be dark soon, and I'd like to know she's home safe before we go to bed. That would be wise, Willow agreed. Relieved that the others agreed with him, Hudson was the first to exit the beehive. Great plan, my dude, he called over his shoulder. The bees scoured the wildflower field, calling out for Jenny, but they couldn't seem to find her. If anyone knows about being diligent, it's me, Dylan said to his friends. We'll keep looking until we find her. Busy, busy, buzz, buzz. Let's find Jenny. Run, run, run. Just when things seemed bleak and Jenny had stopped crying out, a friendly butterfly named Benny happened to flutter by. Seeing Jenny in distress, he approached with concern. Are you okay down there, little bee? I know you. You're Benny. Jenny stopped crying and looked up to the beautiful blue butterfly. You bought honey from our beehive last year. She looked around and told him, I'm not sure I'm okay, though. I got stuck in all this pollen, and I can't get out. None of my friends know where I am. Benny, being a generous soul, said, I think I can help you. He lifted a helping wing and showed her the vine he'd tucked away earlier. Oh, Jenny cried, I'm so grateful you came along. With Benny's assistance, Jenny was soon freed from the pollen trap. Grateful and enlightened, Jenny realized the importance of generosity. She thanked Benny and decided to share her secret flower with her friends. Let's practice the memory verse. Today's memory verse is Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Can you kids say that with me? Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Beautiful, kids. Great job. Now, let's get back to our story. Jenny rushed to the top of the tallest wildflower and called out to her hive mates. They were so relieved to see their friend and rushed up to her side, checking her up and down to be assured that she was all right. I got stuck in a pile of pollen, she admitted to her friends, shaking some of the yellow fuzz off of her fuzzy self. I have something to show you. Jenny led them to the treasure trove of pollen. Together, they worked as a team to collect even more nectar and pollen, making their honey-making season more abundant and joyful than ever before. Jenny learned that sharing not only lightened her own burden, but it also made everything sweeter when done together. From that day on, Jenny became known as the most generous bee in the hive. The story of her adventure with Benny spread among the buzzing community, inspiring every bee to embrace the spirit of generosity and teamwork. And so, in the heart of the hive, the bees thrived in unity, turning their shared efforts into the sweetest honey the world had ever tasted. You kids were amazing today, but I'd really love if you said the memory verse with me one more time. Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Great job! That was beautiful! And that's the end of our story today. I hope you enjoyed story 2 of Behaving at the Beehive. Join us next week for story 3, where Peyton learns to be patient. But that's all for now. See you next time. The end.